So this is the Combat Station. I'm your host, Ty Matthews, and we got on a returning guest, Cody Gibson. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Ty?
Mate, living the life. So last time you came on here, we were speaking about your fighting John Dodson, and you were talking a lot about a return to the UFC. Now you beat John Dodson as a decent-sized underdog. How do you feel about that?
I felt good, felt more and more confident as the fight went on, that I was able to read his darts a little bit. Sometimes, man, we trained extensively for that. He moved exactly kind of like he always moves, and we trained extensively for it, but there were times he would create angles that were difficult to deal with. Sometimes I was able to read them early enough to where I was able to avoid them. And then other times, I see now why so many guys have trouble with him and how he's so tricky. And he gets guys moving backwards because there's nowhere else to go. But overall, we felt good about the fight. We implemented our game plan really well. Using our jab when we can use our jab and our length. Using our front kicks and mixing in takedowns when they were appropriate, especially against the cage when we got him against the cage. Able to, secure some good top position. He's a really hard guy to keep down, so I knew shooting from the open probably was a waste of energy and time. But if I was able to get him against the cage, use my size and my advantage and my wrestling background to, even if it was just chipping away and wearing on him and tiring him out, so overall, I feel pretty good about the fight.
Was that the most awkward fight you've had in your career with all the movement, the power?
Yeah, I don't know if I would categorize it as awkward, but just because he doesn't move awkwardly, he just is fast and explosive, and he's a southpaw and he's tricky. Definitely the most, I'm trying to think of the right expression. As far as like, you fight a lot of guys over the years in different styles and stuff, but I don't think I've ever trained so specifically for somebody as I did with Dodson. It really broke down what he does and what he does really well. And he's just a really tricky fighter.
When Dodson left the UFC, he was in the top 15 still. And so you basically beat a top 15 bantamweight. Do you feel this is the key to getting back to the UFC?
And I hope so, and I hope it catapults me right into getting an opportunity to fight somebody with a number next to their name sooner than later. Obviously I'll walk through whoever I got to walk through when I get there, but I'd like to think that it gets me an opportunity to come back to the organization and kind of see where I stack up and hopefully get a good name opponent and, try to get a number next to my name and climb the ranks. That's I think everybody's goal in this game, but I feel like I've done my part. I'm 6-0 at bantamweight since I left the UFC, and it's been against a lot of tough competition. So, you can only control what you can control and what's in your hands. And all I can keep doing is, I'm hoping we're going to hear something soon. I know my management's talking to Shelby this week about what their level of interest is or isn't. If they're not interested, if they think I'm too old or for whatever reason, then, we'll look elsewhere and look to other organizations. But I think like a lot of fighters, the goal is always to fight the best in the world. And I do feel like the best in the world are in the UFC. So that's where I want to be.
Now with XMMA, what do you think of this promotion? Because obviously they gave you a lot of opportunity and they've got you a lot of attention. If you don't get back to, let's say, a bigger promotion, do you want to just keep fighting for them?
Honestly, I've fought for a lot of promotions over the years, and XMMA, I've got nothing but good things to say about them. They've been super, just super fighter friendly. They make sure to cover kind of the things about fight week that are sometimes a little bit frustrating for fighters. They're very accommodating. Like an example would, the way I like to cut my water weight primarily is in the bath. And when we arrived at the Hilton Hotel, our room didn't have a bath. It was a shower only room. And the hotel had one room that had a bath. And the only reason it had a bath was because it was a handicapped kind of accessible bath or something like that. Anyway, long story short, it was a suite. So it was a pretty sizable upgrade in rooms. And I was thinking I was going to have to go find a Motel 6 somewhere that had a bath, because that's how I prefer to cut my water weight. But no, they got it done. And yeah, they treat the fighters really well. So, I'm hoping this gets me back to the big show. That's kind of whether it be the UFC or Bellator or anywhere really that's, the pay's a little bit better. But yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about them. They've been great to me.
Now let's go on to some fight predictions. Coming up this weekend is Piotr Jan versus Corey Sandhagen because Aljamain pulled out. How do you see that fight going? And what do you think of the fight in general?
Man, I think Sandhagen's proven that, in the striking department, he might be the most dangerous guy in the division. Peter Yan always puts a lot of pressure. He's got great boxing. But I think this is a tougher fight for Yan than Aljamain. This would have probably, or it could have been the next fight for Yan after the Aljamain fight anyway. If you look at Sandhagen, though, guys that are able to control him, take him down, and control him, have had some success. We saw it with Aljamain, obviously, and then TJ pretty much did it with one leg. The only reason he won that fight was because he was able to get control. He definitely got, the worst end of the beating, but, this is MMA. In some ways it's like a game out there. And Dillashaw did a good enough job, I think, to warrant the decision he got. But if I'm Peter Yan, I think you got to mix in takedowns. You got to, keep Sandhagen, especially in close rounds. If you can get a minute and a half of control time or land some ground and pound even, it's still Jan's fight to lose. But yeah, man, Sandhagen could put anybody's lights out.
Now, obviously because you've made quite a big career comeback, you got cut from the UFC and now went on a 6-fight win streak. What would you say to younger fighters out there that are in a situation where maybe they've lost? And what advice would you give them about what to do, how to come back?
I think it's always easier, when things are going well. Sometimes what really makes a fighter, I think, who they are is when things aren't going well and you have those kind of gut check moments. There's been a lot of times, I wondered whether or not this was even worth it anymore for me. You get cut from the UFC and then you're back to fighting for a lot less money and a lot smaller organizations, still against some of the toughest guys that aren't in the UFC. And, I'm working full time and trying to make it all work. And then you end up with injuries and time goes on. And all of a sudden, I blink and 5 or 6 years have passed since I was in the UFC. Man, so many times I could have just said, yeah, it's not worth it anymore. I'm just going to move on with my life. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think when you have that little bit of light left in you, you can't let it flicker out. You gotta try to let it shine and try to, if you lose it, find it again. And just don't give up hope. Especially you're gonna learn so much from your losses. If you really go back and reflect on them and think about, why did I lose? What do I need to change? When you're doing that kind of constructive kind of criticism on yourself constantly, you're only going to improve. If you don't make excuses for your losses, it's because of this or because of that. No, it's because, what was I doing, that I could have done better, or how could I change my training? How can I change this? How can I change that to improve in these positions or those positions? And being just honest with yourself. And I don't know, I know I'm kind of going on a rant, but I guess for me, that's been my journey, like I've had a lot of ups and I've had a lot of downs. Right now I'm on a good little upswing and I'm hoping to keep it, you try to just keep it rolling, but you never know when that that momentum's going to stop. And I guess for me, it's just been about continuing to believe, and then just for me personally, just having if you got a good support system around you, you can't do it by yourself. And so I've been fortunate to have a really good support system around me. So I don't know if that's answering your question, but those are some of my thoughts on the matter.
Mate, as well, what is the difference between you 5 years ago and now? What changes have you made? What improvements have you made?
Well, a lot of technical improvements, but more so than that, even just the mental part of it, the confidence. A lot of fighters will, everybody on the outside seems confident, they want to portray confidence to their opponents, to the fans, in interviews. Everyone wants to portray confidence, but like you can't really fake like real confidence, And for me, like I just didn't have a lot of it, coming from a small gym. There wasn't a lot of examples around me of people who had done a lot in fighting. And so I didn't have a lot of confidence 5 years ago. Pretty much my entire UFC tenure, it was more, me questioning whether I belonged, was I good enough? A lot of those types of questions. And over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, especially as I've just kind of become a veteran and gotten a little bit older, a little bit wiser in some regards, just building that confidence, that real confidence, I think that's more than anything what I've got going for me right now.
And I was going to ask you something. What other hobbies do you have outside of fighting, just to get to know you on a personal level? So what other hobbies do you have outside of fighting?
Honestly, with my life the way it is, I don't really, not that I don't want other hobbies, I just don't have time for other hobbies. I work full time. I've got 2 daughters, and I fight. That's what I do before and after work most days. So not a lot of time. I do like the outdoors. I like fishing. I like hiking, backpacking. I moved over here to the coast, the West Coast, the Central Coast, last year. So I would like to dabble in surfing and things like that, but all in due time. But as far as like interests, I'm a history teacher, so I'm into politics. I like reading and writing, things like that.
Well, we're going to end this in a minute, but I'm going to ask you an important question. Any TV shows you'd recommend?
Ooh, big Ted Lasso fan. And I like it because it's one of those shows that you actually like finish watching it and it like puts you in a good mood. There's so many shows that are like intense and like they're good and everything, but like, I don't know, Ted Lasso, when I watch that show, it actually puts me in a good mood. So I've been watching that one. What else have we been watching? Made, this Netflix one. My wife's got me into. It's pretty good. You know what I'm a big fan of? This isn't some new, Netflix type thing, but Seinfeld.
Classic.
It's the best.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, Cody, we're going to wrap up here. But what I want to say is thank you for your time. And win, lose, or draw, we'll always have you on it, mate.
All right, man. Nice talking to you, Ty. Take care of yourself.
This has been the Combat Station, and we are out.